Hey fellas, it's Gurinder, and I basically created an AI SDR. So instead of having an inbox manager reply to the leads that come in through cold email, say on Instantly.ai, I want AI to be able to automatically respond to those emails without any human intervention. I create a system that basically does 80% of the legwork, so you really will not need an AI inbox manager to be able to keep up with all your leads because AI is going to do majority of it for you. Now I say AI, but AI is like one component of it, which is ChatGPT. Majority of it is a automated workflow through a platform called N8N. Super simple to use, takes about 40 minutes to get up and running, but once you have the basic process in order, you're off to the races. Also, on a little side note, it looks like I spent the last 45 minutes crying. I didn't. I put a cream on my face. Let's just say my body didn't react too well to it. So that's what it looks like I cried for the last 45 minutes. Now, without further ado, let's get to our automation. I'm like very mindful that my face is here at the bottom right corner, which I actually cannot see. But I'm going to be very careful of that so I don't open anything up and y'all can't see it. So I'm gonna go through the scenario one by one. I did it in two parts. So the first one is if I get a positive response over here, and I'm just gonna use that as an example, but if I get a positive response, I want this response to be fed into this platform over here. And like I said, it's about 85, 90% done probably. So this is called the webhook. It basically is watching for a positive response. So anytime a lead comes in, instantly basically marks it as interested. Once it marks as interested, it automatically gets fed through this system over here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through it. First, we're going to run it, and then I'm going to go through each component individually to walk you through basically what's happening. So if I run this test workflow and I come over here, I mark this lead as interested. Watch what happens. I'm going to try to switch back really quickly. Boom. Okay, boom. It's in ClickUp now, which is my CRM or project management tool. OpenAI basically is gonna create an you are to reply to emails. It's basically gonna reply to this email, and then I'm gonna click on edit fields, what basically just breaks it up individually, just so I have the response like looking really nicely, right? And then basically it gets sent back to ClickUp with the AI reply, and it gets fed back there. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like super quickly. So if I come over here, I refresh. I'm gonna have the lead sitting right at the bottom of the project management tool. Boom. Luke F. Scroll to the right. It basically gives you, I already added in all of his information, email, what stage it's in. Anytime I get interest or response, it's automatically gonna be interested. Company name, the company website, the title of the person. And now here's the prospect's respond. Sorry, the prospect's response. So it says, no, thank you. Now we're gonna pretend that it says, yes, I'm interested. Yes, I'm interested, right? Just for jokes over here. Once that happens, AI is going to write a message. Now, obviously, this message is not correct. That's kind of where prompt engineering comes into play, and I haven't quite dialed it in, but I just wanted to, document kind of what I'm doing here quickly. So you're going to have to go back in here, and you're going to have to play around with the prompt. And you're going to play around with the prompt and figure out how you want the data to be given back to you. And I kind of wrote it like this, but this is not 100% correct because it's still glitching out. And you obviously don't want to send people something that glitches out. So part of the reason I have this, actually, you know what I'm also thinking is I'm using 3.0 Turbo, which is very weak. What you probably want to use is this, but it's expensive and we're not going to do that for this video. So you come back over here. Now, let's just say I don't want, now if this message got sent to Luke, I'd be very upset because AI or Luke is going to think I'm basically talking to myself saying, hi, Gurinder. Thanks, Luke. Luke is going to say, why is this guy pretending to be me? Why is this guy pretending to be me, Luke? And sending himself an email but sending it to me. That's too confusing. It doesn't make any sense. So his red flags are gonna be alerted, and he's not gonna basically want to be my friend anymore. So this happens. This is kind of like this is where humans come in. We come in, we look at it, and we basically say, all right, well, this is not correct. I want to send him over a proper message. So I come in here. I might want to edit this out. I might want to say sign over here, Gurinder. Or your VA could do this as well. I want to go over here, say Luke. Now it's 50% correct. Now I might want to fix up this message and make it look all pretty, add some dates and stuff like that and go, oh, I don't want to do that. Boom, ready to go. But now in order for Luke to get the message automatically, I'm basically going to click from pending to approve. Now the way I did this is fascinating, watch this. I click over here and I click on, it shows to automate over here, but I click on automations number 1. when a custom field changes, send webhook. So when a custom field changes from pending to approved, automatically send this data to this one over here. Now you might be thinking, well, Gunnar, this looks different than this. What's the difference? This one gets the interested response, gets AI to be able to write the response, sends it back to ClickUp. That's where we inspect it, we edit it, do whatever we have to do to it. So once it edits the data, it gets sent over here. But now for the second scenario, which is going to be this one over here, it basically, we go from pending to approved. It's automatically gonna get sent, but it's not going to, just because it's not gonna be able to find its account. All I would have to do is just make sure this account is valid. The reason this account is not valid, because this email doesn't work anymore, and that's purposely because I ended up burning it up. If you ever buy email addresses for cold emails end up getting burned up after 4 months. So I just bought myself another 120 emails, which actually finished warming up today. It takes 2 weeks for emails to warm up. So basically what ends up happening now, I'm gonna run this, but again, it's gonna stop over here, which is fine. So I'm gonna run this. Now it's waiting. It's basically waiting for the data instantly to send the data. Oh, sorry, for ClickUp to send the data into the webhook. And the way it's gonna do that, watch this. I'm gonna click on ClickUp. I'll see how they did that. ClickUp. So I'm gonna click up from pending to approve, and I'll watch this. I'm gonna quickly go back over here, and it's gonna, boom, found it, and boom, it's automatically gonna get sent. Now again, I want to repeat myself. The reason why it did not get sent is because it cannot find the account. The reason it cannot find the account, because this email address is not actually working. For me to make this work, I could run new emails and whatnot, which again, emails were just warming up. They finished today. I haven't had time to send out new emails. So this is the best thing I've ever come across. Now I'm going to show you what the AI message actually looks like. Boom, this is literally the one that I created right now. Hi, Luke, thanks for reaching out. Thanks, Gurinder. And if we go back over here, it only sent the updated message that I updated. And you can obviously fix it up, whatever, /N. So I hope that was helpful. What I'm going to do, actually, I did promise I'll actually walk through it. So let's just walk through it super quickly here. So basically, I'm using test URL, and the difference between test URL and the production URL is in the test URL, this will only run when I listen for a test event. Production URL will just run. If you just turn it on, it'll just run basically forever. So once you set the webhook up, right, and you can use the docs to set it up, but it's actually quite simple. All you got to do is you got to click on this post over here, and then you got to click on settings, integration, webhook, and you got to add the webhook in here, and type event. Anytime a lead is marked as interested is probably the best bet. And then basically you're gonna do this for all campaigns, and you're gonna create the webhook. And obviously if I refresh, you'll be able to see it. So now, theoretically, which is also true, you know what? The reason it didn't work is I already have it. That's why I didn't load. So I already have that webhook there. So then basically you'll go over to all messages, and anytime a lead comes in and it goes from this and it goes to interested, it automatically launches. It basically gets all the data, puts it here, right? And for test purposes, I'll basically pin this just so I don't have to keep running it. And then you got to add it into ClickUp. Once you add all the necessary data in ClickUp, right? You basically you got to custom code a lot of this stuff. And here's what it basically looks like. You add their first name, last name, and then you add their company name, their email ID, their URL, LinkedIn URL if it's available, whether this is the stage, right? So I hard coded it as interested, because if a lead's coming in as interested, I don't have to have AI or anything, just try to figure out what it is. I put the title of the person. So this is all custom coded, right? You got to create some custom code, because ClickUp will not actually give you the other fields that I created. It'll only give you these fields. It won't actually give you all these fields that I just created after the fact, which is like the state, which is, the phone number, the title, the LinkedIn profile, all this stuff. It just doesn't do it, but that's okay. And once you have that, you have OpenAI. And again, you have to play around with this, because I haven't quite dialed it in just yet, but it does do a decent enough job where it's showing some promise, right? Once you have that, you got to edit the field. And all the edit the field means is you'll get the code like this, but you just want the response. And all this thing will do is it'll just give you the response, right? This is the key name, and this the value, right? So it'll basically just break everything up, the keys and the values. And once you have that, you basically upload that response, this response, into ClickUp over here. and then you'll see it all the way in the end, which is this thing basically over here, right? AI powered response. And then basically this halfway done. And all you got to do next is open up another scenario, let N8N know, hey, when you get a webhook that basically, so let ClickUp know, hey, when I launch a webhook, as soon as this goes from pending to approve, and then only send this data in. And then you'll go back into over here, you're basically listening to a webhook call. And again, the way you do that is that what I was showing you earlier. You click on this over here, you click on automations, and as soon as it goes from pending to approve, you basically call this webhook, and this webhook is basically whatever the code is in here. Once you have this, you go to HTTP request, you call it HTTP request, and you say, hey, I'm gonna give you some data over here. I want you to pull all the information that you can from this particular user, from this ID, because all we really have right now is the value and the email address of the person, but we don't have like the UUID numbers and all that special information that we really need to be able to send the reply. So once we pull out all the information, like this is all the information that the entire account could give us: the thread ID, the address, the data, literally everything that we want. And once we have that, this is the thing we actually got to use to be able to send the data. So this is the magic form. This is basically the magic that happens here. But for the fifth time, this account is not going to work because this email over here is not actually active. But this is like I don't know, I keep changing my numbers. I say 80%, 85%, 95%, but it's really about 95% done. All you really got to do is have an account that works, number one, or at least an email account that's actually running, number one. And number two, you have to just dial in ChatGPT, right? So anyways, I'm going to download this data. I'm actually going to put it down below so y'all could just literally copy and run with it. Thank you.